They smear your ass with honey yet, hero.
Well, honestly, not yet. We have quite a bit of work to do. Pure, golden, unapologetically natural. Honey is sweetness, exactly as nature intended. Honey is nature's sweetest gift, a quiet miracle made by bees, sunlight, and time. Within Minecraft, bees are one of the greatest creatures that reward patience, planning, and restraint. Treated casually, they sting and die, but treated correctly, they become one of the most efficient passive resource producers, and at the same time, great and innocent companions. Honestly, before we get the honey flowing, let's take a look at a few instances where that's not quite the case. In other games, honey is treated as a merely disposable item that has either low stats or insignificant to no actual benefits or properties. Moreover, what's even worse is that it can become the object of destruction for the protagonist. In Skyrim, for example, you're sent out on a mission where you can just freely burn the beehives while at the Golden Glow Estate, the headquarters of one of the most powerful families within Skyrim, the Blackbriars. Now, just in case that didn't seem sufficiently disturbing to you, in Skyrim you can actually pick up the bees mid-air and treat them as alchemical ingredients for your future potions. You can also eat the bees raw, and the same goes for the contents that you find in their beehive, and of course the beehive husk itself. Quite strange, and definitely out of the ordinary. Just in case that wasn't enough, you can also use spells to take down the beehive. Instead of discrediting the game, we could just say that the Dragonborn within Skyrim is a special kind of beekeeper, always finding creative ways of conquering the world and defeating Alduin. Similarly, in The Witcher 3, if you approach a beehive and you cast Igni upon it, it will start burning, and after it has dropped down to the ground, you can pick up the honeycombs from within it. It has basic stats and doesn't serve any special nutritional role because the health regeneration a honeycomb can provide, or a honey pot can provide, is only 10 points of vitality per second, similar to every other food item in the game. Far Cry 5 even takes this a step further by absolutely demonizing the bees, making you go to a prepped stash, as it's called within the game, so essentially a treasure, and it forces you to follow a specific path through the building, through the vespiary, as it is called, in this particular location, as I'm showing you on screen, and you have to deliberately destroy the beehives in order to reach the stash or the safe at the other end of the building. As expected, the bees turned hostile towards me after I destroyed their nests. In the end, they also managed to get the best of me, as there's no escaping them in this location. Now, this is obviously a joke, but if you want to have it your own medieval way, feel free to play these games, because today, we're gonna go astray. We're gonna go off track from that. We're gonna deviate from it. We're gonna take the professional and civilized path. Before we begin our adventure, it's important for us to orient ourselves correctly and to be aware in advance of the biomes where beehives will simply not spawn. Deserts, badlands, any sort of snowy or icy regions, oceans, stony peaks, and of course also mushroom fields or the nether are not possible spawn locations for the beehives. Beehives spawn on trees, usually oak or birch, and in flower-rich biomes like plains, sunflower plains, flower forests, and so on and so forth. When an oak or birch tree is generated within 2 blocks of a flower, it has a 5% chance to generate with a beehive. So due to the density of the birch or oak forests, make sure you explore them firsthand. For now, I will help you discover the bees, their usual habits, and how to collect honey on the spot. Later in the video, I will also show you how to kickstart your very first bee farm. But before we get there, there's a few things we have to take into account, such as the weather conditions, as bees will not be able to do anything if it's raining. As you can see, once the rain has started, the bees begin their retreat back to the hive, and they will not come out and will not be able to produce honey until the next daybreak, or at the very least until the rain has stopped. However, as you may have noticed, they will still keep making the usual bee sounds, so that gives us reassurance they are all alive and well. At last, once the sun is shining bright again, the bees are out of their hive once more and on the hunt for the next unfortunate flower, as a commoner might say. However, since you're a properly educated beekeeper, or in the process of becoming one, you know that the bee's intervention actually benefits the flower's growth process. Notably, the bees will gather in groups of 3 at each beehive and will harvest pollen from nearby flowers, but only during daytime. Depending on how far away the flowers are, the process of collecting honey from the hive will vary. In that case, my personal recommendation, if patience is not exactly your strong suit, is to go foraging nearby yourself without actually losing track of the bee's nest to pick up some flowers and bring them in its proximity. I explored the forest for a bit and managed to quickly get my hands on a half dozen of poppies and a dandelion, but I kept looking around, as the diversity and a good quantity of flowers will not only help feed a larger colony of bees, but it will also overall enhance the look of our garden or our bee farm later on once we get back to our base. As you can see, as soon as I arrived at the hive, the bees are attracted to the flower I'm holding, and this will be the key way in which we will be able to relocate them to our new home. But for the time being, we will plant them in the grass and let them pick up the pollen so that we can fill our first bottle of honey. They will make this short journey a couple of times before honey will be dripping from the hive, giving us the signal that it is ready to be picked up. Minecraft definitely makes you wait a lot before you're actually able to collect the honey. About 200 quinzillion in terms of in-game time, each cycle usually takes around 1 to 2 minutes, assuming flowers are close and nothing interrupts the bee. Under normal conditions, a hive reaches honey level 5 in roughly 5 to 10 minutes of gameplay. Bad weather, nighttime, or missing flowers are certainly our deal breakers here. They will temporarily stop the process. Now, an absolute essential prerequisite to establishing your own bee farm is to craft any axe of your choice, but with the silk enchantment added to it. In this case, using an anvil, I was able to enchant the diamond axe with the Silk Touch enchantment book, but you can also do it separately at an enchanting table. Keep in mind that the selection of enchantments available can be completely random. In order for the hive relocation process to go smoothly, we will also need a campfire. In order to craft one, place 3 sticks diagonal to each other just like so, 1 piece of charcoal or coal in the middle, and 3 logs of your choice in the bottom 3 slots. While the bees do their job, let's craft together some water bottles by placing at least 3 blocks of sand in a furnace, and then using the 3 blocks of glass placed in slots 4, 6, and 8 to complete the process. Before we even dare try touching the beehive, however, we have to place the campfire we crafted earlier right beneath the beehive, and we have to make sure that there are no more than 5 blocks between it and the hive, otherwise it will not work. The smoke coming off of it will calm the bees and prevent them from attacking us when we try either removing their nest from the tree or dripping the honey in a glass bottle like I've just shown you. Should you not follow this process, the bees will actually start stinging you, and unfortunately they will be no longer with us afterwards. We certainly do not want to have that happen. We need to maintain consideration and diplomacy towards nature. Okay, so now that we've got everything we needed, it is time to head back to our base and find the bees a new cozy home. Make sure you're patiently moving slowly, as the bees will lose track of you should you create a substantial gap between you and them by either sprinting or jump sprinting. You have to use steady, repeated tempos in your movement. Okay, so there's our base and we're slowly but surely heading towards it, like a real band of bees. Staying alive, I hope. After you've reached your base, plant the beehive on any solid block of your choice, and also plant some flowers on the ground in order to prevent the bees from going astray. Okay, so now that we managed to secure the bees close to our home, it's time for us to scale and speed up our honey production like the dirty, greedy capital. As a starting point, if you want to make your garden look more organic and fit in more seamlessly with the environment, you can place a diversity of flowers on the ground, which of course will also be an attraction point for the bees as well. As you can see, I have a variety of flowers at disposal, all of which will be compatible with our farm. You can find these in your regular adventures, and there are only a select few types of flowers within the game that the bees cannot pollinate from. Okay, so now that we're good to continue, this is a very, very important step in ensuring the prosperity of our farm and the continuity of our bee colony. We will need to acquire honeycombs from the beehive. We will need a pair of shears, which you can quickly craft from 2 iron ingots placed diagonally to each other, just like so, and then right-click on the beehive. Okay, so please do note that this will only work if the hive is bursting with honey. 3 pieces of honeycomb should drop from the nest nearby. Just pick them up and head back to the nearest crafting table. Here, we can use any type of wooden plank placed in the top and bottom 3 slots and the honeycombs in the middle to successfully craft a beehive. After you've repeated this step a few times, you can go and place the beehives in the garden. Please keep in mind that if you want to upscale your farm, each beehive will be able to shelter a maximum of 3 bees. Tenderness should be a key quality of your bees, so in order to keep them in check, use any flower of your choice and pair them together, and notice how a baby bee will spawn. This will be the key to ensuring the continuity of our colony. You can feed them in order to speed up the growth process. However, in this case, as you may have noticed, we're only using flowers. When expanding your colony, you will notice that the bees will come out intermittently depending on how many hives you have available. And just in case you're getting greedy, please do keep in mind that you cannot harvest or collect honey using a bucket. So I will keep collecting some honey in order to show you some crafting recipes. First and foremost, make sure you have 4 bottles of honey available. Go to the nearest crafting table and place them in a 2x2 square on the slots in order to obtain a honey block. In order to revert the changes, place the bottles in the same slots as before, this time with the honey block right next to them, in order to refill them. Now, if you prefer honey over sugar cane, you can place a bottle of honey in one of the crafting slots to obtain 3 pieces of sugar per each bottle, and similarly to the previous recipe, the bottle does not actually go away. And now it's time for our last beekeeper's training lesson. You cannot craft a block by using honeycombs in all 9 slots, compared to blocks such as redstone, lapis lazuli, metal ingots, diamonds. However, you can do it by placing them in a 2x2 square, similar to wooden planks, the crafting table itself, sandstone, granite, diorite, and many more. What's also interesting is that you cannot split the honeycomb blocks back to individual pieces of honeycomb regardless of the slot combinations or disposition that you use, so please do keep that in mind. I have to admit, that was a lengthy but fun process. We've managed to collect honey, successfully transport the bees in their home, build a wonderful little farm and garden to go along with it, and explored some crafting options and valuable perks. I hope you're feeling just as content as I am, given that you're now a certified beekeeper, expert in all honey matters and of course all honey business, with all the skills and all the achievements in place. So anyway guys, we took a look at some video games that certainly don't do beekeeping right, but we made sure to fix that. And as always, of course, that's it for this video. I will catch you in the next one.